We've had a real nice light rain the last 24 hours, so it's a perfect time to dethatch some of this and plant some ryegrass. Before I do that, I want to till up a couple of the bumps here that were like concrete before, but I'm hoping this rain will loosen them up enough that I can till them and smooth them out. Instead of just going forward and backward with the tiller, you actually see me moving it side to side. I find that does a better job of not creating grooves in the dirt. See if we can make that level. Well, now we'll move the hose out of the way and go get the dethatcher and see how we can work that up a little. I had to stop here and clear all the pine straw from the tines. I am terrible at backing up. This is where a 3-point hitch would come in really handy. Sometimes you can dislodge the pine straw just by backing up, but most of the time it doesn't do a really good job. Sometimes it's just easier to get off the tractor and move the dethatcher manually. Got rid of some of the pine straw by backing up, but some of it's still on the dethatcher tines. Time to clear the tines. I'm throwing it off to the side. Sometime periodically I'll come around with the wagon and the pitchfork and pick this all up and put it on the compost pile. Okay, that should loosen up pretty good. Now I'll go get some ryegrass and put that down. want to get some rocks off our boneyard, but we got to blow the pine straw off first. I already blew it off this pile. And we got some more here. We're going to take some of these rocks from our boneyard down to the pond and put it around the outer perimeter of the dock. The goal here is to hide the blue plastic. Let's see what we can do without falling in the pond. The dock legs are sitting right on the plastic, so in order to not poke a hole into it, I put down these plastic blue pieces to try to cushion the impact. And now we want to cover that up with the rock so it's not visible. Basically 2 to 3 weeks ago, this pond was about 13 inches lower. We had almost an inch of rain on the last 48 hours, so this has come up quite a bit. That being said, there's a bump here right next to this rock that I want to take out before the water gets up that high. Actually, that mound you see there is left over from when I took the last bit of muck out of the bottom of the pond before I built my aluminum retaining wall.
Have 3 or 4 pieces of plastic.
Well, I'm out here, see if I can skim some of the pine straw out of the pond. The pool skimmer is doing double duty here. Not just the pool, but also kind of use it for the pond. We drained the water out of here because we want to move the plastic because it's too far to the left. We want to pull it over to the right farther. Before I move it, I want to mark it so I make sure I move it the right amount. This rock. I'm pushing a stick in the ground here at the edge of the plastic. Now we'll try to slide the plastic over to try to gain an extra 6 inches on the side where I'm standing. Just go about 6 inches towards me. Okay, down. Hopefully we lost about 6 inches on this side, but we gained it on the other side. Now that we moved the plastic, I'm going to get my hose again from the top of the pool and pump that water out to fill this up. Hopefully we'll have more equal depth on each side now since we moved the plastic. So after moving the plastic that way, about what I thought was 12, 18 inches, we filled it up again. And it turns out I moved it too far that way. I got about 12, 16 inches here and only about 8 or 10 inches left in the plastic here. So I'm going to drain the water again and move the plastic not all the way to the stick where it was before, but about halfway up. And then hopefully that'll be a happy medium for the most depth in this plastic. This looks like about as full as it's going to get with the particular sheet of plastic I have. It's pretty even around most of the edges. I guess I could have pulled it a little more towards the drainage pipe and maybe a little bit higher in that corner right there. But it's coming up here, which is the game plan is to have a place for the deer to walk in and drink water, so that looks like that may work. I guess I'll turn the pump off for now and call this project done. While we're painting the big shed here, I'm going to have to paint this stoop as well, and it's got a couple rotten boards on it, so I want to take those off and see what's involved in replacing them. A good thing to learn about why it's important to get the right bit. This one is basically too small. I think it's a number 2, so we'll go see if we can get a bigger one. I believe this is a number 3. We'll see if that works a little bit better. Basically having trouble finding the screws. Found one here. Looks like there's 2 more screws in there. Opening these doors might help a little. Knee pad helps too. This is a leftover board I had from a previous project. So the next issue is this board is not an exact fit. It actually came off of our steps at the lake house, and I reclaimed these. So it's a little bit short. You can see here I have about a 1/4 inch of this board that it's sitting on. So I'll probably attach another block of wood here to provide support. and then I'll just cut a little piece and put it in here, just basically for looks. The other thing that is happening is it's just a little bit too wide. So I think if I take a 1/4 inch off, I can probably get it to fit. Maybe an 1/8 inch off of each side. We'll check here shortly. So this is probably overkill, but I'm going to do it anyway. The gap is about 5.5. Board is about 5 5/8. So I'm going to take 1/8 of an inch off of each side and see what that looks like. So the handy part is the saw is right on the other side of the door, so I'll move it out onto the deck, keep the sawdust out here. I think I have a roller I can use as a third hand here. Let me see if I can find that. Again, this is probably overkill for 1 or 2 pieces of wood, but we might as well go through with it now. Still too tight, so we'll bring the fence in a little more. Still a little bit tight. I'm happy with that. I'm tapping the board out until the outer edge is flush. Okay, I got the board in there. This is flush. There's quite a bit of an overhang here, but I just wanted to keep that. And back on this side, you can see I have a gap here, so I'll cut off a piece and fill it in there. No structural integrity, especially if I put a block in there. So it's actually sitting right on the very edge, so I may not need a block under here, especially this step doesn't get used much or at all really. The other thing would be just a block of wood to fill this gap just for looks purposes. Okay, so I think this idea is going to work, so I might as well get the second board cut while I have everything out here. So let's move the saw over, clean off the area, and see if we can get that second board out. Alright, I don't want to just chew up the boards on either side of it, so I'll just get the Sawzall and then we'll work with that for a while. Well, got the sawzall, so we'll see what we can break next. Well, this is taking longer than I thought. Let me go get a pair of vice grips, see if I can get that one screw out. Boy, that sucker was in there. Well, let's do some more measuring. See if we got the same situation on this board. Well, I got the two main boards, so now go see if I can find a shorter piece to make those little stubs at the end. So let's get this measured since we need to replace this as well. We might as well use leftovers from these cut pieces to fill in those gaps at the shed. That's 24 inches, no overlap. 24 inches, no overlap. So roughly 5.5 times 2 will be 11. Times 2 will be 22. So we need 2 boards and part of a third board to put on this. So let's get busy taking that stuff off. We'll see if I can get that down without tearing up too much stuff. It should be empty. Feels a little bit lighter than I would expect with water in it. Of course, I broke that off. I don't use that anyway, so go get some tools and start taking this platform off. Well, I measured one of those boards and it's 4 foot long, so if we cut it in half, that's 2 foot, which is exactly what we need. So we lucked out on that. Now I'll just move the table saw over and get the chop saw out and cut 2 boards in half and see where that takes us. So just to make sure, I'm going to go measure this again before I cut the next board. Well, let's see how easy these screws come out. Boy, that was easy. I wish they were all that easy. So, I guess we'll start cutting some more boards. Well, looks like that will work. The second board, and then go measure how much we need to rip the third board. Okay, let's put those boards on and measure what we need to rip. Notice I have a cross piece right here, so that means instead of running the boards this way, I'm going to run them this way. So just to make this look right, it obviously doesn't need it for support, but we can stick a piece. So I'm going to go 1.5. So it looks like we need 1.5 inches by 2 feet long. Last thing is to cut those 2 little pieces to go on the ends. Forgot about cutting a little piece off the end. So those boards were really wet because they've been out in the rain. I think it's supposed to be sunny tomorrow, so I'm going to put those boards out where the sun can get to them and dry them out a little bit before I screw them in. So we're going to clean up now and continue tomorrow. Okay, back to the deck project. I'm going to get these boards fastened down, so we'll start working on that. I have this nice tool here for combination pilot hole countersink that my daughter got me. And also you can flip this one over and put a Phillips on the other end of it. So we'll use this tool and get to work. I'm going to try to put this at an angle because this piece here has to hit the board and then this one has to hit the board, so they're going to be going in like that. Alright, first issue, I think I need a bigger diameter drill bit in here, so it comes with multiple sizes. Let's get that fixed first. I just checked and this is one of the largest ones, so we'll just go with that. Put the Phillips bit on and put the screws in. Too much, that split the wood. I guess I'd better put some in here too. Okay, on to the rain barrel platform. Okay, rain barrel platform, here we go. Alright. Boards are on. Get the rain barrel back up top. See if I can get some help with this.
To lift is what I'm saying. Alright, let's try it now.
Basically my pipe doesn't line up, so I need to put another sheet metal screw in up there at the top to pull that thing over. Might as well get it done now while I'm thinking about it. Well, let's see if I can get a screw in there. Now I'm going to try to get the barrel out this way a little bit. It looks like I can come back this way a little. Downspout is crooked, but that's just going to have to do. That pretty much wraps up this video. Thanks for watching. In the next one we will be pressure washing the driveway and fixing a leak in the pressure washer.